Once, in a bustling city, there lived a man named Samuel. Samuel had a good job, a loving family, and a comfortable home, but despite all of this, he was never truly happy. He constantly compared himself to others and always felt that they were better off than him. One day, as Samuel was walking through the park, he noticed a wealthy businessman sitting on a bench dressed in a sharp suit, talking on his latest smartphone. Samuel sighed and thought to himself, "If only I had his wealth and status, I would be so much happier." Later that day, Samuel couldn't shake off the feeling of dissatisfaction. As he walked back home, he noticed a man sitting on the steps of a building. This man was wearing simple clothes and playing a guitar. A small crowd had gathered, enjoying his music. The man seemed so content, lost in his melody, and smiling warmly at the passers-by. Samuel thought, "This man must be so happy. He's doing what he loves without a care in the world. I wish I could be like him." Confused and disheartened, Samuel decided to visit his wise old grandfather who lived in a small village nearby. His grandfather had always been a source of wisdom and comfort. The next day, Samuel set out for the village. When he arrived, he found his grandfather sitting on the porch, enjoying the peaceful countryside. Samuel poured out his heart to his grandfather, telling him about the businessman and the musician and how he felt so discontented with his life. His grandfather listened patiently and then smiled gently. "Samuel," he said, "before you decide that others are happier than you, why don't you go and ask them about their lives? Sometimes what we see on the surface doesn't tell the whole story." Taking his grandfather's advice, Samuel returned to the city and first sought out the wealthy businessman. He found him at a cafe looking tense and stressed. Summoning his courage, Samuel approached him and said, "Sir, you seem very successful, but I wonder, are you truly happy?" The businessman looked up, surprised by the question. He sighed deeply and replied, "I have money, yes, but with it comes immense pressure. I work long hours and I barely see my family. My health is deteriorating because of the stress. Sometimes I envy the simple life of people who are content with less. I often wish I could just play music and live freely like those street musicians." Samuel was stunned by this response. He thanked the businessman and then went to find the street musician he had seen earlier. When Samuel found him, the musician was once again playing his guitar, smiling at the crowd. After the performance, Samuel approached him and said, "You seem so happy and free. Do you really enjoy your life as much as it seems?" The musician smiled, but there was a hint of sadness in his eyes. "I do love playing music," he said, "but it's not an easy life. I struggle to make ends meet, and some days I don't know where my next meal will come from. I see people with stable jobs and families, and I sometimes wish I had that security. But I've chosen this path, and I try to find joy in what I have." Samuel was struck by the musician's honesty. He realized that the man he envied also had his own struggles and challenges. Returning to his grandfather's village, Samuel shared what he had learned. His grandfather nodded wisely and said, "Samuel, every person has their own burdens and blessings. It's easy to think that others have it better, but the truth is, everyone has their own struggles. Happiness doesn't come from having what others have. It comes from appreciating what you already have and making the most of it." Samuel reflected on his grandfather's words and realized the truth in them. He returned to the city with a new perspective. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he began to appreciate the love of his family, the stability of his job, and the comfort of his home. Gradually, he found a sense of peace and contentment that had eluded him before. From that day on, Samuel no longer compared himself to others. He learned to value his own life, with all its ups and downs, and discovered that true happiness comes from within. If we see in our lives, we will find that this is our problem too. We make unnecessary comparison with others and then become sad and curse ourselves. We don't value what we have, and this all leads to vicious cycles of unhappiness. You should learn to be happy in what you have instead of looking at what you don't have. There will always be someone who will have more or less than you have. If you keep comparing yourself to others, you will never be able to be happy. A person who is satisfied with what he or she has is the happiest person in the world. Happiness isn't about having what others have. It's about appreciating what you already do. True contentment comes from valuing your own life, not envying others. The grass may seem greener on the other side, but every life has its hidden struggles. Comparison is the thief of joy. Cherish your own journey. Peace comes when you stop chasing what you think you need and start loving what you already have. Every person carries their own burdens. Focus on lightening your own. Happiness grows when you water the garden of your own life. We all walk different paths, but contentment lies in embracing your own. It's not about having more. It's about wanting less and appreciating more. Don't measure your worth by someone else's yardstick. Joy is found in the present, not in the pursuit of what others possess. The richest man is not the one who has the most, but the one who needs the least. Your happiness is not in someone else's pocket, it's in your heart. Every life has its own melody. Find contentment in your own tune. Envy blinds you to the blessings already in your life. Happiness blooms where gratitude is planted. Contentment comes when you stop comparing and start living. The road to peace is paved with appreciation, not comparison. Life is better when you focus on your own path and celebrate your own progress. Happiness is not in possessions, but in the perspective you choose to embrace.